According to ASUS, the new Zenfone 5 is not just a smartphone, it's an intelligent phone. It has a whole bunch of AI-based features and is trying to make its comeback as a value for money phone. But how much of these features are really AI? And is it worth your buck? Hi, I'm Michael Josh, and you're watching GadgetMatch. This is our ASUS Zenfone 5 review. Before we begin, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you don't miss any new videos. Done? Okay, let's get on with it. While we've been told that it's not intentional, the Zenfone 5 does look like the iPhone X. There's a notch up here, which we'll talk about more later. The camera orientation at the back is vertical too, and the color options are also familiar. But it's the little things that make the Zenfone 5 distinct. At the back, you'll find its signature concentric circle design that looks brilliant when hit by light, and a round fingerprint sensor that's positioned just right. There's still a small chin over here, which ASUS says is supposed to help with ergonomics. The glass back of the phone makes it look and feel really premium. Like its predecessors, the Zenfone 5 will have a more premium variant, but this time, the Zenfone 5Z will share the same exact design as this mid-range phone. We've said this many times in reviews, your smartphone is probably the device or the object that you look at the most. So it's very important that what you're looking at is great, not just good. We love how ASUS finally ditched the rectangular displays of old and put rounded corners on the display of the Zenfone 5. And in keeping with the trend, ASUS is also squeezing in a taller display into the same 5.5-inch body. Like we said at the top of this video, the Zenfone 5 gets a range of AI-based features, including its display. There's auto color temperature that makes the phone look warmer or cooler depending on your environment. It's really hard to show this on video as it's something that works in the background and it's not as evident as, say, a blue light filter on other smartphones. There's also a feature called Smart Screen On, similar to an old TouchWiz feature. The display will not turn off as long as the phone knows that you're looking at it and holding it upright. Not quite sure if this really counts as AI though. If you spend a lot of time outdoors, you will like the Zenfone 5 as it's very much usable even when under bright sunlight. Now to address the elephant in the room, the notch. Personally, we don't hate notches. In fact, if you give it a try and you use it a while, you'll almost even forget that it's there. That said, even if the notch itself doesn't bother us, there are a few minor issues on the notch of the Zenfone 5. Unlike the Huawei P20 that gives you the option to hide it completely, on the Zenfone 5, the notch's behavior is inconsistent. Only certain apps and features get a black bar. In Instagram, for example, the main feed doesn't have one, but when you're posting a new story, it does. Now, it must be said that app optimization is hugely dependent on developers, but we can't help but think that the notch on the Zenfone 5 wasn't really well thought out. See over here, it doesn't look symmetrical, and you can't help but notice it when watching Netflix, for example. Lastly, the clock on the upper right-hand corner of the phone gets pushed too close to the edge, especially when you've got display battery percentage turned on. Thankfully, all of these are just software-based, which means they can be fixed along the line somewhere, which also means they shouldn't be a deal breaker. Like most AI smartphones, the camera on the Zenfone 5 is probably where AI integration is most evident. It can detect 16 different scenes and adjust settings accordingly, so you can theoretically capture the best photos possible. We tried it, and it's accurate. We just don't know if it really tweaks settings in the background because the preview looks the same before and after detection. What we do like is how well depth effect on both the main and selfie camera works. Cutouts are clean, and it's much better than others we've tried. We also like how the second camera on the Zenfone 5 is a wide-angle lens, which is very rare on a smartphone these days. Overall photo quality is good. Sometimes though, when shooting in bright sunlight, details tend to get blown out. In these cases, we found ourselves dialing down exposure or going into pro mode, and that saves the day. While manual controls are great and all, because this phone has AI built in, it kind of defeats the purpose, don't you think? ASUS says the Zenfone 5's beautification also intelligently reads facial features and applies personal enhancements. But even at its lowest setting, it makes your skin look unrealistically poreless and far from natural. As this is the case, we like our selfies better without beauty mode turned on. AI is also supposed to improve the Zenfone 5's photo gallery. ASUS calls this an intelligent photo organizer that's supposed to make finding photos easier, lumping together photos based on scene detection. But it doesn't really work as expected. I think we can all agree that Isa is neither a plant nor food. The Zenfone 5 also has something called Zen Emoji, which is very similar to Apple's Animoji, but uses ASUS's own Zenny and 2 more characters. We tried it and it works better even at face tracking than the Galaxy S9. We just wish that you didn't need to launch a separate app for it. Speaking of apps, the phone still comes pre-installed with the usual Google apps and select ASUS apps. But we're more than happy to say goodbye to ASUS's bloatware of yesteryears. Good job, ASUS. Another thing we had a hard time liking on older Zen phones was the default ZenUI keyboard. On the Zenfone 5, ASUS finally replaces that with Gboard. Thumbs up yet again. One last nifty feature we're happy to see on the Zenfone 5 is being able to use the fingerprint sensor to bring down the notification shade. Just swipe down on it like so. Unlock times using fingerprints are also fast, but face unlock needs a little bit more work. So if I were you, I wouldn't rely on it just yet. The Zenfone 5 runs on a new mid-range Qualcomm chipset, and it comes with enhanced gaming and display technology. So it comes as no surprise that the Zenfone 5 handles most games really well. And because it has an efficient chipset, battery life on the Zenfone 5 is great. We got almost 6 hours of screen on time without using any of ASUS's battery-saving features. That means you can keep the Zenfone 5 running even longer with a few toggles of a button here or there. And when the phone finally runs out of juice, you can enjoy a feature called AI charging, which promises to protect your battery's lifespan by slowing down battery charging when it knows you're going to keep it plugged in for a longer period of time. In our tests, charging the Zenfone 5 from 0 to 100 took a little over 2 hours. So, is the Zenfone 5 your gadget match? For around $400, it's actually a pretty good deal on paper. It's got AI built in, an efficient processor, dual cameras, and great battery life. But the Zenfone 5 feels a little half-baked, at least for now. Some new features work really well, but others don't seem as well thought out and polished. None of the issues we pointed out are deal breakers, but none of the new features are compelling enough for you to go out and buy it. But like we always say in our reviews, price is as important as any new feature. And that said, we're happy that ASUS is back to disrupting the market with its prices and their empowering luxury philosophy. With this small step in the right direction, we can't wait till ASUS finds its groove soon, and based on their track record, we know that their phones with software updates do get better over time. And that was our ASUS Zenfone 5 review. We've seen your comments and are going to give you what you're asking for, a video that compares the Zenfone 5 with other phones in its price point. And to make sure you don't miss that, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, follow GadgetMatch on social media, and make GadgetMatch.com your daily habit. Until the next video, I'm Michael Josh. Thanks for dropping by.